I would like to welcome all members and guests for the third time today to the April 3rd, 2024 public hearing committee meeting, first committee meeting anyways. I'd like to remind everyone that our meetings are web streamed and televised, so if you could please take a moment to ensure your phones are on silent, that would be greatly appreciated. For those who are attending virtually, please mute yourself when not speaking. When called upon to speak, turn on your camera and unmute yourself. Staff in attendance, remember to use your hand raise feature icon and remove it when you finish speaking. With that, I call the April 3rd, 2024 public hearing committee meeting to order. All members of council are present, so we'll jump right into any declarations of pecuniary interest. Seeing none, are there any changes to the agenda? If not, a mover and a seconder to approve it. Councillor Van Adrishi, seconded by Councillor Duthie. All in favor? That is carried. I now officially open the public meeting held under the Municipal Act, the Planning Act, and County Policy. Please be advised that to preserve your right to the Ontario Land Tribunal, you are required to make comments or provide written submissions prior to the passage of a bylaw. These meetings are to allow the public to provide initial comments on presented planning matters. We have one item on the agenda today, and that is item 4.1, which is 196 Old Highway 24, report CD 24023. Mr. Sloan?
Thank you and good afternoon. I believe that Hannah is in attendance today to provide an overview for this development application, so I'll turn it over to Hannah.
Thank you, Brandon. So through the chair, an application has been received to amend the zoning bylaw on a parcel having an address of 196 Old Highway 24. Next slide, please. The lands are approximately 95 acres, which are partially within the hamlet of Bloomsburg. The surrounding area, a majority of the subject lands, are agricultural in nature. And to the northwest is the Waterford Heritage Recreational Trail. Next slide, please. The subject lands have 3 official plan designations. A majority of this parcel is designated agricultural, with the portion closest to Old Highway 24 designated hamlet, and a portion to the northwest designated and zoned hazard lands. The remainder of the parcel is zoned agricultural. Next slide, please. The proposal today is to rezone the portions of the subject lands in the following parts. Part 1 and 2 will be rezoned from agricultural to hamlet residential, with a special provision to permit reduced lot area. Part 1 is proposed to have an area of 3,817 square meters, and Part 2 is proposed to have a lot area of 3,275 square meters. Part 3 is proposed to be rezoned from agricultural to hamlet residential, having no special provision. And Part 4 from agricultural to agricultural with a special provision to permit a minimum lot area of 39.06 hectares, where the minimum required is 40 hectares. The purpose of this is to facilitate the creation of 2 lots on Parts 1 and 2. Part 1 has an existing single detached dwelling and detached garage. And Part 2 has a barn, which will need to be removed prior to the establishment of a new single detached dwelling on private services. For Part 3, a boundary adjustment is proposed to be transferred to an abutting residential lot with an existing single detached dwelling to the west. And Part 4 will be retained as part of this exercise and will remain in agricultural use. The department has received the applications for the 3 described consents to sever, and the rezoning will also bring the affected portion of the subject lands into conformity with the underlying official plan hamlet designation. Next slide, please. Submitted as supporting documents to the application include a geotechnical report and survey sketch. No technical concerns have been identified by county staff to date, noting that an additional review and conditions will be applied to the consent applications. One comment was received by a member of the public outlining concerns about agricultural land preservation. This was received after the agenda was public, so council members today have copies of that comment physically on their desks, and it will be added as a post-agenda addendum. Next slide, please. Some preliminary considerations associated with this application include housing, agricultural land, and servicing. And the last slide, please. So in terms of next step for staff, for the consideration of any feedback received at the public hearing meeting, review of any technical comments, and preparation of a recommendation report for this month's following council meeting. Thank you all for your time. I am available for questions.
Thank you very much. Great report and presentation. Questions from committee to staff? I'm not seeing any. And do you have extra copies of the public? Okay, I didn't get one. That's okay. Is there any member of the public here that wishes to speak about this proposal? Just as a reminder, if you wish to preserve your right to appeal any decision that's made, you must provide written comments or verbally. Okay. Is there anyone on the line that wishes to speak? Okay, that's great. With that, we have staff report recommendation before us that reads that staff report CD 24023 for development application ZNPL 2024-044 be received for information, and that any comments received as part of the statutory public meeting be considered in a future recommendation staff report. Is there a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Van Passen, seconded by Councillor Columbus. All in favor? That is carried unanimously. Thank you. That might be a record. I'm going to pass the floor over to Mr. Sloan briefly.
Yes, thanks for that, Madam Chair. Since we finished the meeting quickly there, and also given today for our public meeting, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge Trish Givens as her last planning meeting at committee and council, as she has announced that she's moving on from Norfolk. Just wanted to recognize the work she's done over the last 12 years here with the planning team, including over the better part of the last 4 years as director. And also previously, Tricia was with the housing group as well. And all that work that she's done has helped in the future growth and development of Norfolk. So I just wanted to take a moment to thank her for her efforts and wish her all the best in her next endeavor. Thanks for that. And sorry to put that out there, Tricia. There you go.
All the best, Tricia. Thanks for all your efforts. Okay, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn at 3:11 p.m. Moved by Councillor Huffman, seconded by Councillor Micheli. All in favor? That is carried. Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening.